Hey guys, so this week we are moving on to chapter 3 of Leroy Saddles Up. And this week we are going to be focusing on a vowel team. There are two vowel teams that we are going to be looking at. And a vowel team is when there are two vowels that are together. So we've got a I and a Y. And those are our two vowel teams that we're going to focus on. So those both usually make the sound A, like in the word say, we've got A. And in the word Maine. We've got ain, Maine. Okay, so we're going to be using AI and AY to see if those vowel teams can help us solve some words this week. Before we move on to our new chapter, let's go ahead and reread our notes from last chapter so we remember what we were reading about. So it says, Leroy found his horse. She is called Maybelline. She doesn't like everybody. She has 4 teeth and she has 4 hooves. Okay, so let's see what else we can find about Maybelline. Chapter 3. Now, Maybelline's old, said Patty Lamarck, and I am moving, and where I am moving to, they don't take horses. My Maine, see that A-I says A, Ain, goal here is to make sure that Maybelline goes to a home where she is loved up good through all her older, more golden years. You understand what I'm... Ooh, I see another one. Saying. Hank? Yippee-yi-yo, said Leroy. Oh, this is interesting. I see another one. So we've got AI says A, and then we've got nt. Remember, this nt stands for not. Ain't. I ain't looking for money is what I am saying. I am looking for love for Maybelline. And look, it's in Maybelline's name, too. And I am just going on my instinctuals here, but my instinctuals tell me that you are the right little fellow for this horse. So now I am going to tell you some things about Maybelline. Listen up, Hank. Yippee-yi-yo, said Leroy. Patty Lamarck looked at him. She squinted. I don't know what that means, Hank, she said. Ooh, do you guys see that? So this is going to be one of our exceptions, one of the words where it doesn't do the thing it's supposed to, because you see, we've got that AI part there, but it's not aid, right? That's not what it says. It says ed. Okay, so ed is going to be one of the words where this rule doesn't apply. Okay, said Leroy. It means okay. If okay is what you mean, Hank, said Patty Lamarck, then just flat out say it. Be a straightforward communicator like me. Okay, said Leroy. Okay, said Patty Lamarck. Here are the things about Maybelline. There are 3 items you've got to remember. Item 1 is that she is the kind of horse who enjoys the heck out of a compliment. You gotta talk sweet to Maybelline, understand? Yippee-yi-yo, said Leroy. Okay, before we move to the next page, I'm going to put some of our new words in our word collection up here. So we saw the word ain't, and we saw the word, I'm going to put the word said down here because it doesn't fit, but it still has that AI part. So I'm going to put that down here, and we also saw Maybelline. Maybelline has that AY part. Okay, let's move on to our next page. Okay, said Leroy. There you go, said Patty Lamarck. Item 2 about Maybelline is that she is a horse who eats a lot of grub. And when I say a lot of grub, I mean something real specified. What I mean is this horse eats a lot of grub. Okay, said Leroy. He nodded. A lot of grub. Item 3 is that Maybelline is the kind of horse who gets lonesome quick. What I mean by that is she is not the kind of horse who cares to be left behind. This is the most important item, Hank. Do not leave Maybelline alone for long, or you will live to rue and regret the day. Rue and regret the day, said Leroy. Okay. All right then, said Patty Lamarck. She's all saddled up and ready to go. Let me give you a hand here, Hank, since you are the kind of a short gentleman who looks to be in need of assistance with some of life's more overwhelming necessities. Patty Lamarck helped Leroy Ninker up on Maybelline's back, and right away Oh, I see another one. Away. Right there. Right away, Leroy Ninker noticed that the world was different from the top of a horse. The colors were deeper. The sun shone brighter. The birds sang more sweetly. Also, Paddy Lamarck seemed shorter and a tiny bit less bossy. "Giddy up," said Leroy Ninker to his horse. Okay, before we move on, let's add away. We saw say again, and we saw Maybelline again, but we found a new word, away, and let's go add that to our AY chart. So we saw away, and let's keep going. Nothing happened. Leroy Ninker slapped the reins. "Giddy up," he said again. Ooh, did you guys see that? We found another one that doesn't quite fit. Again. So it could say again, again. And if we were British, that's how we would say it, but we're not British. So the way that we say this word is again. And so before we move on, let's add that right here, and we'll add it at the bottom with said, because said and again don't quite make the right sound. Let's see. Leroy Ninker slapped the reins. "Giddy up," he said again. Maybelline stood without moving. "Hank," said Paddy Lamarck, "I don't believe that you were listening to me even one tiny bit when I listed out them 3 items. You gotta listen in this world, Hank. You gotta pay attention to the informational bits that people share with you." Oh, did you guys catch that one? Got pay, pay. "Okay," said Leroy. "Okay, then. Listen up. If I were you, I would cogitate. I think that word is cogitate. So I'm saying cogitate. But I could be wrong. It could be cogitate. I don't know. Okay, then, listen up. If I were you, I would cogitate on item 1 right about now." "Do what?" said Leroy. "Compliment her," whispered Paddy Lamarck. "Give the horse some pretty words." Leroy Ninker looked down at Maybelline's bony back. He counted the knobs in her spine. He tried to think of some pretty words. Did he even know any pretty words? Leroy thought very hard. And finally Leroy spoke. He opened his mouth and said the sweetest words he could think of. He said, "You are the most beautified horse in the whole wide green world." The horse pricked up her ears. She twitched the left ear to the right and the right ear to the left. Both ears quivered hopefully. Emboldened, Leroy Ninker leaned forward and spoke directly into the right ear. He said, "You are the sweetest blossom in springtime." Maybelline picked up her right front hoof. She held it high in the air. Oh, you guys see? There we go. There's another one. Air. "Good job, Hank," said Paddy Lamarck. "You are a pure flower of horsiness," said Leroy Ninker. Maybelline began to walk. "Well, look at you, Hank," said Paddy Lamarck. "It seems you got a talent for poeticals." "Oh, Maybelline," shouted Leroy, "you are the brightest star in the velvety nighttime sky." Maybelline broke into a trot. "Goodbye, Maybelline," shouted Paddy Lamarck. "Good luck, Hank. Remember them other 2 items, and listen to the people of the world when they offer you informational bits." Paddy Lamarck held up a hand and waved, and Leroy waved back, and then Paddy Lamarck disappeared. Maybelline, Leroy's new horse, was going very, very fast. Uh-oh. So let's see, we found air on this page. Was there anything else? And pay from this page. So let's add those to our chart. So we found air, and we found pay. Okay? So as you guys are reading, you can always look for these vowel teams, this AI or AY vowel team, okay? Because this AI and AY is usually going to say A. So we found say, Maybelline, away, A, ain, ain't, air. So we found all of these that have this AY part. And then we found two exceptions. We found again and said. Don't quite follow the pattern. So it's not going to work every time, but usually if you see AI or AY, you should try that A sound first. Okay? And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to leave some notes for ourselves for next week when we come back. So let's see. Leroy learned the most important thing was there are 3 rules for Maybelline. And rule number 1 was that she needs compliments. And I don't even remember the other 2 rules right now. Let's go back and look. What were the other 2 rules? Let's see. Item 1, you gotta compliment her. Let's see. Item 2, oh, she eats a lot of grub. So grub is food. So she eats a lot of food. And then item 3 is that she gets lonesome really quickly. So she gets lonely. So she needs compliments. She eats a lot. And the last one was she gets lonely. Okay? So those were the 3 things that Leroy is supposed to remember about Maybelline. All right, we will do some more reading next week, and when you guys are reading on your own this week, see if you can find any of those AI or AY words and let me know what they are.